The ECONOMUSEUM network is located in Quebec, several other Canadian provinces, and in Northern Europe. It represents a select group of businesses specializing in traditional trades that produce high-quality arts and fine crafts or food products. ECONOMUSEUM members are committed to conserving their knowledge and skills and passing them on to future generations. From the enchanting seaside hills of Îles de la Madeleine, artisans Jérémie and Lucie Arseneau and their entire team invite you to enjoy their delicious cheeses produced from the milk from Canadian cows.
L'alimentation des vaches ici est très particulier. C'est pour ça qu'on a choisi la...
Here we feed our cows in a particular way. That's why from the beginning we chose the Canadian breed. From June to October they spend all day, every day in the pasture. The Canadian is a breed that has adapted easily to our land, the small hills and dry hay. Our hay is special because we harvest what nature gives us. While some of our hay is planted, at least 50% of our crop is wild.
Notre foin qui est ensemencé, mais on a au moins 50% de notre récolte de foin qui est sauvage.
Ce qui rend le Pied-de-Vent si unique, c'est toute la...
What makes Pied-de-Vent so special is the vegetation that grows here on the islands. It's sown by ocean spray and salt air. The cows consume this natural vegetation, and well, that's what you find in our milk, and you definitely taste it in our cheese.
dans le fromage.
Our milk is truly unique, very rich in fat and proteins. That's the beauty of the Canadian cows. In quantity, they don't produce a lot of milk, but in quality, their milk is exceptional.
A traditional cheese dairy specializing in island flavors. Every day since 1998, Fromagerie du Pied-de-Vent has been transforming its milk into tasty cheeses, the hallmark of this business by the sea. We first had the idea of a dairy farm in the early 80s. It'd already been tried by other producers but hadn't worked out. In 1997, a young agronomist from Neuville was in the area and tasted what we call la crème des îles, or cream of the islands. He thought it had a unique taste and would make great cheese.
First thing was to find Canadian cows, which wasn't easy because there were hardly any left at the time. Finally, it was just great. We found the cows and also the owner, who came and spent a year on the islands to show us and explain how to run a dairy farm.
We were really lucky because some chefs and journalists came and tasted our cheese. They really liked it and talked about it often on TV and the media and newspapers. You could say we got a lot of free publicity.
On one of the shows, Mr. Pinard said, "Small cheese, big future."
Traditional Quebec cheesemaking comes alive before your very eyes. Cheese-inspired artwork that details the production process will delight you, as will the view of the artisans at work in the dairy. Learn all about the cheeses with the elusive names. The highest production standards are used in making artisanal cheese. From the farm to the cheese dairy, each step in the process and precise conditions must be adhered to.
Well, here on the farm, we milk the cows in the evening. We store the milk in the reservoir where it's kept between 2 and 4 degrees Celsius. We do the same thing in the morning, so at 8 o'clock every morning we go to the cheese dairy, and if everything is ready to receive the milk, we hook up the pipes that link the milk pipeline that runs between the dairy and the farm. Then we open the valve and the milk flows into the cheese dairy. We don't get our milk from a tank or a pump either. All of it's fresh from the farm. That way there's less risk of spoiling it. Once we receive the milk from the farm, we add yeast and then lactic acid bacteria to activate the good bacteria that's already in the milk.
Ensuite, on va en présurer. On va mettre de...
Then we coagulate it by adding rennet, an enzyme that thickens the milk to slightly curdle it.
Ça va nous permettre par la suite
We can then drain it to separate out the curd. That way we capture all the milk proteins and fat to make the cheese and also release the whey.
du lait, la matière grasse, pour faire le fromage et aussi libérer le petit lait, le lactosérum. En fait, à la suite du décaillage, ce qu'on va faire...
After the draining process, we transfer the curd into a mold.
Pour faire le fromage, on va le mouler, le moulage. Lorsqu'on a...
Once molded, the curd grains will have clumped together, the whey will have drained from the cheese, and that is what forms the cheese wheel.
Par la suite, il y a l'ensemencement.
Next comes the salting process. We put the cheese in brine for 3 hours.
Le sel va venir extraire
The salt will extract the moisture in the cheese so that it starts to firm up.
la pâte. Par la suite, c'est la finale.
The ripening or aging stage is next. During ripening, we brush the cheese, wash it once, brush it again, turn it over, and inject ripening flora that will, over time, develop to form the rind.
La croûte. Ensuite, on va brosser, on va retourner.
Then we brush it again, turn it over, and change the planks. The cheese ripens on wooden planks. We turn it over so it doesn't become too humid. We carefully control the temperature of the rooms and the humidity levels in the ripening rooms. After 30 to 35 days, the cheese is wrapped and allowed to continue to ripen in the final aging room, where it'll remain for the rest of the aging process.
Pour le restant de leur maturation. Le Pied-de-Vent est un fromage unique.
Pied-de-Vent is unique. It's an artisanal cheese made by local artisans. Most of the work to produce it is done by hand.
De ce type de fromage-là, il n'y en a pas beaucoup.
There isn't much of this type of cheese anymore, especially a cheese with a soft rind like ours that's ripened from the outside inward. There's a good reason why it's so hard to find cheese like this in Quebec.
You'll be charmed by Tome des Demoiselles and Pied-de-Vent. Soft cheese, semi-hard cheese, and fresh island cream are some of the tasty products made in this enchanting land.
On travaille beaucoup en collaboration.
We work a lot with other producers on the islands to develop recipes that use several of the island's products at the same time. Visit Artisans of ECONOMUSEUM Network. Learn about their history, their traditional methods of production. Enjoy their distinctive, original, contemporary products. Discover Artisans at work.
De voir les gens.
I hear people talk about Pied-de-Vent, Pied-de-Vent des Îles de la Madeleine. I think the islanders are proud to say that on les îles we've got good Pied-de-Vent cheese.
Bon fromage Pied-de-Vent.